So hello again, everyone, and welcome to the latest in our series of COVID-19 webcasts brought to you by Travel Weekly to keep everyone connected as we continue to face this very, very unprecedented challenge. I'm joined today by a panel of travel agents right at the sharp end. So you'll see that I'm with Jeanne, Lally, the Joint Managing Director of the Travel Bureau. I've got Jackie Dobson, who is the president of Barrhead Travel, and I've got Trevor Davis, the Group Operations Director at Spear Travel. So thank you all very much for joining us today. You obviously represent different size agencies, and I know some of you are on the high street, and you've also got people working from home, you've got call centres between you. So and also in different parts of the UK. So I thought it'd be interesting to bring you all together to see what your experiences have been and what particular challenges you faced. So we'll start with you, Jeanne, because you're right at the top here next to me. How's it been for you the last 4 weeks? Just give us a flavour of what you've been through.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So we started to plan for lockdown as early as the beginning of March. Just looking at the way things were going. Obviously, we've got one high street branch. We're a boutique agency. Our demographic is, high end. We tend to sell fewer packages, lots of tailor-made, and long haul. So that's what we specialize in. So we could kind of start to see what could happen, and we started to plan. When I say started to plan, what I mean at a basic level is saying, right, how many laptops have we got? Can we send them home with our team? Can we make sure that everybody is technically able to work from home with the tech and the call capability? So we started to do that, and then it all escalated really quickly. So our sort of first scramble, if you like, was just to look at all the future bookings. No different to I guess, Trevor and Jack's business, looking at our customers, also who was overseas. I mean, that was one of our biggest issues, really. And our demographic tends to be older. So therefore, they in theory were more at risk, even getting on planes, flying them back. We had a couple in Australia, we had somebody in New Zealand, we had somebody in America. So like many of the agencies out there, it was a real scramble to try and get people home. And once it started to escalate, it just moved like a train, really, trying to get people on flights. We had 3 goes at getting some customers home. They got to the airport, no good. Had to turn around, go back to their accommodation. So that gives you a flavour of what these the first 3 weeks were like. The last couple of weeks have been a bit more, a bit calmer, because we're kind of in our stride now. But the biggest bugbear, and I hate to mention the R word, it's refunds.
All right. Well,
come on to that, but that's
we'll definitely come on to that. Just to be, have you got all your customers home now who were overseas?
Yes, okay. All back, all safely back, and very appreciative and so kind and so patient with the situation. So really good.
Okay, I'll just come down to Trevor, because you were nodding there, Trevor, like, as Jeanne was talking about the challenges getting people home, and they got to an airport. And did you have some of that yourself?
Yeah, we have still about 10 to a dozen bookings overseas. Some through their own choice. They want to stay with friends and family and aren't too bothered about rushing back. I'm not sure what they'd be rushing back to be honest. Others have been a real challenge, and I'm sure Jeanne and Jackie would say the same as I'm going to say, and that is that our colleagues have been incredibly patient in working through the process with tour operators on the whole, and also some overseas embassies where we've got involved, because a bit like Jeanne's business, our customers tend to be older, they tend to be well travelled. We don't do huge amount of family business, but we do some, and a lot of our customers have been customers of ours for years and years and years, so they are very reliant on the support and advice and the help we give them. So they have really been calling on our people over these past 4 weeks. But, you know, so not a great deal of difference between what Jeanne's just explained. I mean, initially, it was, in the nicest possible way, organised chaos, you know, as everybody really tried to ramp up. Because travel agents just naturally want to give the very best service to their customers. They absolutely want to do that. But we were all dealing with an unprecedented situation, and we were some of it was we were just hoping for the best. I think it's fair to say that things have calmed down a bit, in the sense that I think we all feel a bit more in control of what's happening, but never quite know what the next day is going to bring. If someone makes a different announcement, if there's a change in whatever. So we're dealing with it as it comes at us. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's bring Jack in, because of course your business is very big, and so I guess you've had some of these challenges, but on a scale. Talk us through what you've been through, Jack.
I think similar to what Jeanne said as well, we started planning at the beginning of March for a lockdown. So again, we deployed laptops out to all of our branches and all of our key staff and sales support, so that we were able to quickly react and work from home. We decided on Monday the 23rd of March that we were going to close all of our branches, just to protect our customers and also our employees. That was before the decision was made for lockdown, so we were prepared. We found it's really, really difficult because we furloughed 80% of our workforce, and again, as Trevor said, we still want to service our clients the way they're normally serviced, which is extremely difficult and extremely frustrating. We also had over 100 passengers out in the resort, and again, we've still got some that are still out there. However, again, it's through their own choice, or maybe living with family or staying with family in Australia, New Zealand, and there's nothing again for them to come home for, so quite happy to stay there. However, we have had others in other situation that were desperate to get home, with a couple on the Princess cruise ship, and some in Holland America Line as well, who again were just desperate to get home, and we did our best, obviously working with the cruise lines, to get these passengers home. Our teams have adapted really quickly, because we are predominantly a retail business and call centre business, although we do have some 50 home workers. In the grand scheme of things, I would say that, you know, considering now we're on our 4th week, it's getting easier, and every day it's now a Zoom meeting rather than a face-to-face meeting, so we're getting used to it. But yeah, it has been extremely challenging, but I think the teams have done a fantastic job to get to where we are today.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that you're all saying that things have calmed down, I guess, operationally, but I think what we're reporting that hasn't calmed down, in fact, if anything, it's escalating, is that we've got agents reporting that customers are becoming increasingly frustrated if they're not getting their money back. So I don't know, I mean, Jeanne, you started to talk about refunds there. Perhaps we can just come on to that straight away, because that's certainly what we're hearing, that, you know, as you mentioned, Jack, we're now moving into week 4 of lockdown, and I guess there is still, you know, some operators are doing one thing, some are doing others. It's still unclear. There's no absolute clarity in terms of what operators should be doing, and that leaves you guys on the front line having to explain things to your customers. So how have you managed, Jeanne, and then we'll go round.
So I would say, Lucy, that the operators we work with, we have a very tight supplier partner portfolio, but they still fall into sort of what I call 3 camps. So the first camp is where, yes, they're busy, they've furloughed staff, but they're really organized. So they're good at communicating, whether that's via Facebook or via a non-furloughed account manager. Yeah. I mean, they are what I would call the gold standard or platinum standard, where yes, it's busy. Yes, there's a lot of sort of toing and froing, but actually our team can speak to the right person in their organization. I've got contacts where if there's a real difficult situation, I can still reach them. So they're what I call the ones that are really, you know, great to deal with, some difficult decisions, and still using the credit refund note, not voucher. That's a whole other word, the V word, you know, because customers won't accept anything with a voucher written on it. They want some other form of wording because they understand they're not legally protected. So there's that there's that camp. Then there's the sort of, I think, in between camp where, you know, maybe the medium-sized businesses where they are genuinely trying to do what they need to do, but you know, they're overwhelmed. They're just overwhelmed. You know, they've got so many customers overseas, they can't operationally deal with the volume that they've got. And that's frustrating, but, you know, we know that they're trying to do their best. There's also a little bit of misunderstanding in policy. So some of the policies change. That's really difficult when you're trying to speak to a customer. And then there's the third sort of camp, as I call it, where you can't speak to anybody. It's just an email address, no refunds, credit notes only. And when
you say credit note, you mean a voucher, not
refund credit notes.
Okay,
so you know, or they can change. However, trying to get through to them to get any sort of help when you're trying to rebook somebody. So that for us has been frustrating in that sort of camp where you know the customer wants to travel, but you simply just cannot get through to people, and there seems to be confusion in the policy. So, you know, there's three camps, you know, and I guess it depends. We don't have many bookings in the third segment, you know, but the ones that we have, I would say, they've caused us the most angst. And also, Lucy, we've got customers who are barristers, lawyers, you know, very, very knowledgeable people who just keep quoting the PTRs at you. And you know, we're very polite to us. They're not in any way being difficult. And what I've had to say to them is, you know, the recourse that you have, I'm afraid, is only legal, because whilst the government dithers and won't extend the refund dates or extend out the policy to the 31st of July, customers feel very, very, they have a lack of confidence. And also, if they've lost their jobs or they're not earning any income and they're running their own companies or somebody like that, then they want that money back. They need it for living expenses. So that is what we're finding at the moment, and that's really tricky to deal with. We can't do anything. And just one other thing I would say, I think chargebacks are a real concern to us if that starts to happen. Now, we haven't had that yet, and a lot of our customers pay direct, you know, by bank transfer. So the big bookings tend to pay like that rather than on a card. But that is a real concern for us.
Okay, so you think that could be imminent, I guess.
Could be.
Jack, what same sort of question to you around, you know, I mean, you must deal with probably, I know Jeanne said she's got a limited number of select tour operators she works with, and even within that group, she's having some problems. What about a company like Barrhead must have a lot of different suppliers it works with?
We do. Similar to Jeanne, I totally agree, there is three different camps. I think in the whole, most of our suppliers have been pretty good. We still have contact within each business, and we're also setting up a daily call with them at a certain time so they can speak to these suppliers, which will definitely help moving forward. We have had a lot of difficult conversations with our customers. I mean, we are offering a mixture of credit notes and refunds. However, some operators are also offering net credit notes, and it's really difficult for us what we're supposed to do with these net credit notes. So we're having these conversations just now. I think also the challenge is the customers don't know the process and how our supply chain works, and how we are not holding on to their money. It's actually not with us. So again, it's just trying to explain that to the consumer and trying to bring them along with you. The fortunate thing is we've got a lot of MVP customers and personal relationships with these customers. However, that won't last for so long. As Jeanne said, if somebody's lost their job or they require the cash, then they want it there and then. So again, you know, I feel really sorry for the guys in the front line for having to deal with consumers, but some suppliers are not making it easy for us, and they could make it a lot more easy. And even with the rebooking process, again, it's been really difficult. Some suppliers have got it 100% right, and we can do it all online. However, some haven't, and we're having to go through by telephone, which again, they're furloughed a lot of staff, so it's extremely difficult for us to get through to our suppliers.
It would be helpful if all the tour operators had a clear automated process in order to make that rebooking, which isn't happening at the minute. And it's really interesting. Sorry, Jack. I say it's really interesting what you said about some of your people on the front line having to explain things. I mean, I saw on Travel Gossip this morning, there's an article that's been posted that says travel agents are breaking the law, which that kind of thing doesn't help, because of course you're just having to relay the supplier's policy, but it doesn't put you in a good light. Trevor, how have your team, the ones I guess that are left, having to deal with their customers?
Well, you've got fewer people dealing with a lot more transactions for obvious reasons. To pick up on Jeanne's point, a lot of our bookings are tailor-made, so it's not straightforward rebooking them on a system. They were never booked on a system in the first place. You've got to get through to talk to somebody to try and get that amendment changed. To pick up on Jackie's point, customers to a point trust their travel agent, but some of our staff have even been accused of being complicit with the tour operator in withholding the monies. And a lot more customers are very savvy now, and they understand the law, and the internet is available to them. Clients are coming in and they know exactly what's happening. And, we do have cases where I have now written to customers and I have just said, I'm so very, very sorry, but we can't take this any further than we have done. I've made the tour operator aware of the situations. I've asked the tour operator if they want to intervene, and they have completely ignored that. So when all the dust settles, I think each retailer will have its own winners and losers as far as tour operators are concerned, because some are clearly making a real effort, and they're challenged as well. And I think we all on this call, we accept that. Everyone's challenged. But some appear to be working that much harder than others. And when you spend years building up a relationship with a customer, it can be very easily lost. And in some cases, some of our customers, I think we may struggle to retain them. We're doing everything we can, but it's proving awfully difficult. And everyone's terms and conditions are different.
It's a lot of work for you, as you say, a lot of work when there's fewer of you.
It's a lot of work for fewer people, yeah.
And do you both have the same fears as Trevor, that you may end up losing some of your customers? I know you can, you obviously do have good relationships and you can explain as much as you can, and obviously some are probably happy to wait a bit for their money, but as Jack was saying, there's some people that aren't in a position to wait. They need their money. So do you think you might lose customers over this, even though you've tried your hardest?
Yeah, I definitely think we will, yeah. Especially with our volumes, we've got all different types of customers, and it is really difficult trying to explain and retain these customers.
Jack, just actually, it's a good point, just to pick up on Jack's point, because both Jeanne and Trevor said that you had customers that were more tailor-made and older. I just wonder, what are you seeing, Jack? Because you probably have a broader spectrum, different demographics. You've got youngsters, I guess, and families, and you've got some older people. What are, in terms of those different groups, are some more understanding, or are some rebooking, or are some demanding of refunds more? What are you seeing?
I think we do have a percentage that are understanding, a percentage that will accept credit notes depending on the type of holidays they've booked. I think from a tailor-made perspective, these customers are a bit more difficult, they're a bit more savvy, and they are looking for full refunds back. They're not really willing to accept credit notes. That's what we're finding anyway. I'm not sure if the rest are finding the same, but we definitely feel as customers that you've tailor-made that holiday, it's more difficult to try and get through to the operators, as Trevor said. And also a lot of these operators, especially airlines, are offering credit notes rather than refunds, which is extremely challenging because these customers want full refunds. We are seeing a success from a package perspective of customers rebooking to later dates, winter and summer 2021, which is helpful. That's more from a package perspective, but a tailor-made perspective, it's a lot more difficult because a lot of airlines are also not on sale for next year. Trying to transfer that customer over now is a bit more difficult.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was going to come on to ask about, when they're rebooking for, because I spoke to someone this morning who said, to be honest, now they're not, the early ones that were being cancelled were booking perhaps again for later this year, but actually most is now moving into 2021 as it continues. Is that something you're seeing, or do you think there'll be any hope for 2020?
I don't think we'll see any movement until at least September, until borders actually start to open. And for the bookings we are seeing just now, albeit the minimal, it's more winter, December, January, February, and also summer 2021. There's nothing at all really for this summer. Even though
the likes of EasyJet and Jet2 have announced that they're hoping to start flying again mid-June, do you think? I mean, I know they don't know that, do they? But I guess that's a statement of intent by them.
Yeah, we've got customers just now, balances are due. It's our peak travel time, June, July, August. So these customers really don't want to pay their balances just now because they're concerned that it's not going to be back up and running again, and quite rightly too. So again, we're just trying to explain to them that their holidays are fully financially protected. We can't advise them things. We can't say to them it's definitely going to be travelling again, because we really don't know, especially with a definite travel ban. So it's really difficult for us at the minute.
Yeah, Trevor, you're nodding. You're finding people don't want to pay their balances as well?
Yeah, the problem is there's so many different stories at the moment that they're affecting our industry. I think the European president has said, don't plan holidays.
Yes.
You've then got, I think I read today that Australia is saying to its fellow countrymen, don't even think about going outside of Australia on holiday this year, because we may not allow that. And I just think that the more people digest all of this, the more they are thinking that this year is going to be out of the question. And whereas I think we all perhaps 2 or 3 weeks ago thought that we might be able to move these people towards September, October, November, assuming, of course, that that's when they can all go on holiday. That is also assuming that these overseas destinations will allow them to come in there. So there's so many issues at play here. And the good old travel agent ultimately is having to deal with all of this. Every single call that's coming in is different. And, Jeanne's people, Jackie's people, our people at Spear Travels are doing an absolutely incredible job, as all agents are doing at the moment, dealing with so many different permutations on it. But, 2020 is really looking a challenge. And I'm ever the optimist. Great news to hear Jet2 and EasyJet talking about June and July. But I think deep down, we probably are thinking, not a cat and mouse chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Trevor. I think that is. I did an interview 3 days or 4 days before Easter, and the question was, when do you think travel will recover? And I have to say, and I know it's really gloomy, but I think you can write off 2020, and I think we need to look at maybe the second half of 2021 before everything is fully operational, because I think the challenge is nobody knows how the virus will actually continue to affect us all, and the sector is depressed now. So I think in terms of financial planning, Lucy, I think it's really important for every business, and I'm sure Trevor and Jack have done the same thing. We've taken a pessimistic view for a forecast. If that doesn't come to pass, I think that's fantastic. But I think it would be remiss of us as business owners not to do that and plan accordingly.
Yeah. And what does that mean for each of your businesses then? I mean, obviously the government is helping at the moment with schemes like the staff retention scheme. Jack mentioned she'd furloughed. I mean, most travel companies have had to furlough some of their staff. We don't know how long they're going to offer that for. There's obviously been other support packages. Jack and I spoke on a call over a month ago now, but when this was just starting, and I know at the time, Jack, you felt it was I think the first announcement had been made and it was very much focused on small businesses, and you were saying that you needed more for large businesses, and I think there's been some more announcements then for companies of your size. But Just perhaps talk about, I'll start with you, Jack, you know, in terms of the government support packages that have been available, have they been enough? And given what Jeanne has just said, will they be enough to see you through to, let's say, the second half of 2021, as Jeanne mentions?
Yeah, well, I think we'll start off the furlough scheme. I think that was a lifeline for most businesses. However, for travel, it's a bit different. We're not a coffee shop or a clothes shop where we can just shut up shop and not service our customers. So that's been one of the hardest things, is we're still having to work 20 times harder, or sometimes 10 times harder, actually, than what we've ever done to try and service our customers. So the furlough scheme, I think it's great for some industries, but not so much for travel. I think that definitely needs looked at. In terms of the other government-backed schemes, one of the issues we're having just now is the rate grants. So currently in England, we can claim per store. However, in Scotland, you can only claim one per company. So with us having 30 stores within Scotland, and we're not the only, we've come together with a group of businesses, not travel related. There is some travel involved, the SPA involved in this now, but other businesses, spas, etc., who've all got the same issues with the Scottish Government because they're not offering the same scheme as what they're offering in England and Ireland. So something needs to be done about that. So again, we're lobbying the Scottish Government just now. And there was an interview this afternoon, it was Nicola Sturgeon's update, and she did say there'll be further to come on it. So hopefully they are moving on the grants, because that would definitely help. So we're still employing, Barrhead, for instance, being a travel agent, still employing staff to work, whereas other businesses in Scotland are not. So it's really unfair on the travel industry. And then the government-backed loan scheme, that's now available for large businesses, whereas before it was only small and medium-sized businesses. So again, that should help. But you know, there's definitely a future for the travel industry. I do believe that come September, October time, people will start booking again. Not for this year, but for next year. We are a solid company, we've got a full plan in place. And again, we've been looking at this since probably because this really started the beginning of February, really when the cruise lines started cancelling out of China and Asia. So we have been planning since then on what this will look like. But I think the furlough scheme did give a lifeline to a lot of businesses.
Okay, what about the other two? Do you feel you've been well supported in terms of, you know, just as businesses by the government?
Yeah, I think we took sorry, Trevor, we took advantage of the furlough scheme straight away. We got our business grant straight away, virtually just bounced into the bank account. That was tremendous. I agree with everything that Jack said. I think there will be a bounce back, but I'm probably a bit more pessimistic than Jack is in terms of when that bounce back will happen and when that money will hit our account. I think that the travel industry is disproportionately affected by this, and I think that the furlough scheme will have to be extended by the Chancellor for the travel industry specifically. There are other industries that can bounce back, but we are not one of them. So I will be lobbying through my MP and through various business and our consortia Advantage, you know, to get some sort of dispensation for travel. I think it has to happen, Lucy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, interestingly, Richard Fain, the chairman of Royal Caribbean, said this morning that, you know, he felt, although he absolutely believes it will come back, he feels that travel and tourism will be at the tail end of the recovery. That's what he said. You're nodding, Trevor. Do you agree with Jeanne and Jack?
Well, sadly, I do. I mean, holidays are not deemed essential. They're luxuries. They're nice to have. And I think a lot of this will be down to consumer confidence as well. There's a lot of people that are hurting at the moment. And whilst I think we all welcome, probably apart from Jackie, the support that the government are handing out, we just don't know what's coming down the line still. And you know, we're all perhaps, there's always a little guessing game now as to what the announcement's going to be this week. And, you know, is the lockdown going to be extended by another 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Some are saying that they think it's going to go through to the end of May, some thinking into June, and I think it's a moving feast all the time. Business grants are starting to trickle down, that's all helpful. But you know, that's only for a short period of time, and if things keep being moved, then as Jeanne says, we're going to have to just keep going back and going back. And some things do seem to be taking quite a while as well. I mean, we still need some clarity from the CAA regarding the protection on these refund credit notes. I mean, there's still confusion about that. So it's messy.
And how long? Because we're still...
And how long?
Whether it'll be the end of July or whether it'll be extended into 2021, that's the latest.
Yeah,
I think
and
we
they
need
get
clarification on.
And as each week or 2 weeks go, operators are announcing that they've reviewed their position and they're moving their dates back. So it'll be about confidence. It'll be about whether people feel that they can justify spending money on a holiday, or whether there are other priorities that money would need to go toward. I all my working life in travel, 45 years this year, I wasn't expecting to celebrate my 45th year like this. But I mean, it'll come back. But I would think that it's going to be slower, but it will come back.
And you mentioned this consumer confidence. I mean, like taking the cancellations and the rebookings aside, like in terms of new business, we are getting some agents reporting that they're getting some new business in. I know it's probably small and you can count it on one hand. But what kind of people are booking, and where are they booking to? Are they more, worried about going too far, or are they? I mean, I suppose we've got big problems in Italy and Spain, so that doesn't mean that short haul is going to be necessarily popular. What's the feeling out there? And are they booking cruise, or is that something they're particularly worried about? What are you seeing in terms of the new business?
River cruise is really strong, and long haul for us.
River cruise and long haul.
Yeah, big bookings though, Lucy. Not small bookings. These are substantial bookings, and there does seem to be an appetite for that.
And are you suggesting that to people when are they coming to you saying what could I do, what's safest, what's the conversation?
These are people who've already had bookings, and instead of cancelling, they're saying no, we're going. So what would you suggest? Where would you suggest? So it's a real mix. But river cruise, I can pick that out because I know I've seen the numbers on it, and we're getting a better rebook rate on that than we are on short haul European, Spanish bookings. Some people are quite happy to just roll those credit notes and those bookings over to May, June next year. But in terms of the big bookings, that's what we are seeing. Long haul river cruise.
Interesting. What about you, Jack? Your new business, what's sort of stood out? Or
again, long haul stood out for us. That's the one we're seeing most response for. I mean, we're not marketing just now. We're doing some e-shots and we're doing some offers on social, but they're definitely the most traction is long haul. We're also seeing a bit of cruise for Caribbean, the winter time, mainly Q1 in 2021. And again, like Jeanne, we've had a lot of not a lot, but we've had some large bookings for more luxury customers.
Okay, all right. So that must give you some hope. Trevor, have you had some new business as well, and where have you seen?
Yeah, we're doing, I think, what we call it as sensitive marketing. We don't want to be too overt and suggest people should be booking for 2021 now. It's all about getting the balance right, and we talk about it on a daily basis. We've been promoting some more fun elements of travel. Certain countries are celebrating certain days of the year, encouraging, when they can, people to think about traveling a bit closer to home. We've introduced some Zoom appointments with our working staff, which have been well received by the customers. But the bookings we are doing them, and they are primarily long haul. Okay. We're seeing cruise bookings rebook. We're not seeing a lot of new cruise bookings at the moment.
Yeah, which of course, and of course the cruise industry, there's so much capacity coming online. It needs new to cruise, doesn't it? So we've got to hope that will come back for that sector. Just briefly, you mentioned there about the Zoom calls, Trevor. Do you think this will change the way that we work? And do you see call centres having video technology included so that they can see people? I mean, do you think it will people may not have big offices anymore. Who knows? I mean, do you think this whole situation will change the way the travel agents work?
I think it will change the way travel agents work. I think it will change the way customers book their holidays, most definitely. I mean, 8 weeks ago, a huge chunk of the population had never heard of Zoom.
Well, I'm in that group.
In fact, my father thought it was an ice lolly, which it is.
It is. Yeah.
But now we are on Zoom a lot, like you say, family quizzes, talking to our key workers, you know. So I think it will change. Yeah, I think a lot of people will think, you know what, maybe I can run my business without having a high street store and do it in slightly different ways. That's not our plan, but certainly for those that are home based, it opens up a whole new, potentially new booking stream for them. And we're all more familiar with it now. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one good thing to come out of this. I'm sure, Jack, you're not going to say that you won't have your shops on the high street. And what's happened to you were obviously, you know, forging ahead with quite an interesting shop opening plan, weren't you? I mean, has that been put on hold now for the time being, or what's happening?
For the time being, it's been put on hold. We still have these new stores. We still had some that we're just about to open. We will open them when the time's right. And I think there will be opportunities, retail opportunities also, once this is over next year, which we'll definitely take advantage of. But like Trevor said, again, I think it will change the way our business operates, and even things like printing. I haven't printed anything since I've been home. And I think
because you haven't got a printer.
So, I mean, moving forward, you just think of these small things, how your business will, what you don't need. You can get by on without being in the office. So I definitely think things will change.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And Jeanne, do you think the same, or?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Lucy, if somebody had told the team that we have, that if I told them, right, from the beginning of March, you're all working from home, I somehow think I would have had a riot on my hands. But, you know, human beings amaze me because every one of them has adapted. Some love it, some don't. I've always worked from home, and it takes some getting used to. And I think my sort of concern about it is it's fine if you have, you know, sort of a big family group, but maybe Trevor and Jack have seen this as well, where you're, you know, in a single household for whatever reason. You know, I think that's psychologically a bit of a struggle, but I think that we will change for sure. We will change how we do things. We have to. I mean, it'll all come down to cost base. I agree with Jack to an extent that shops will still need to be there. But we've learned a lot as a business, and I think the people who work for us have learned that they can adapt. So it's really interesting seeing how people have discovered that they can do things in a different way that they never thought they'd be able to do, including, you know, myself. I haven't printed, but then I've worked from home before, so I get the whole printing thing. But I think it's just that isolation. You know, when you're in a sales environment, you're a seller, you know, and you work from the sort of team around you. So I don't think retail is dead, but I know it will change how we work. Generally, not just in travel, it will change how we all work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will obviously be following what happens. I think we've probably come to the end of our time now. I really appreciate you all spending this half hour to come and chat to us and tell us your experiences and some of your challenges and some of the things that would help you as you continue to go through this time. So thank you to Jeanne from the Travel Bureau, to Jack from Barrhead Travel, and to Trevor from Spear Travel. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Stay safe.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.